The rain hammered against the massive windows of Denver International Airport, turning the tarmac into a mirror of reflected lights. Inside Terminal C, the Friday evening crowd surged and ebbed like an agitated sea. Business travelers rushing to catch connections, families hauling overstuffed luggage, couples embracing or saying goodbye. Andrew Bennett stood apart from the chaos, staring out at the storm with a hollow expression. He was 45 years old, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that had cost more than most people's monthly rent, and he felt more alone than he'd ever felt in his life. His phone buzzed for the 14th time in the past hour. He glanced at it. Another message from his assistant asking about the Tokyo merger. Another from his CFO about quarterly projections. Another from his lawyer about the final divorce papers that needed signing. Andrew turned the phone off completely and shoved it into his pocket. He'd built Bennett Global Solutions, from nothing into a multi-billion-dollar consulting empire. He had homes in 3 countries, a car collection, investments that generated more money while he slept than most people earned in years. By every measure society used to define success, he was wildly successful. He was also divorced, estranged from his adult children who barely spoke to him, and so tired of the relentless demands of his life that he sometimes fantasized about just walking away from all of it. His flight to Seattle had been delayed indefinitely due to the storm. The gate agent had suggested he check back in an hour, maybe 2, maybe 3. Andrew had nowhere he needed to be. The house waiting for him in Seattle was empty, staffed by people paid to maintain a home he barely lived in. So he'd wandered away from the gate to find somewhere quiet to think. Or not think. He wasn't sure which he wanted more. That's when he heard it, a small voice, uncertain but brave, speaking to him from somewhere around knee level. "Excuse me, mister?" Andrew looked down. A little boy stood there, maybe 4 years old, with curly brown hair that was damp from the rain. He wore a tan jacket that was slightly too big for him, jeans and sneakers with dinosaur patterns. In one hand, he clutched a worn teddy bear with one eye missing. The child was looking up at Andrew with enormous eyes that held a mixture of hope and fear. "Yes?" Andrew said, instinctively softening his voice the way you do when speaking to children. "My daddy is in heaven," the boy said, pointing upward at the ceiling, then seeming to think better of it and pointing toward the windows, toward the sky beyond. "And my mommy is sick. Can you help us get home?" The words hit Andrew like a physical blow. He looked around quickly, searching for an adult who might be with this child. About 20 feet away, a young woman in a light blue uniform, a flight attendant, Andrew realized was walking quickly toward them, her face creased with concern. "I'm so sorry," she said breathlessly as she reached them, immediately placing a protective hand on the boy's shoulder. "Liam, you can't just walk away from me like that. I was so worried." "But I saw the sad man," the boy, Liam said, pointing at Andrew. "And Daddy said when people are sad, we should try to help them. So I came to ask for help because maybe if we help each other, we'll both feel better." The flight attendant looked at Andrew with an expression that was equal, parts apologetic and exhausted. She appeared to be in her late 20s, with blonde hair pulled back in a regulation bun that was coming slightly loose. She had kind eyes, but they were red-rimmed and weary in a way that suggested she'd been crying recently. "I'm sorry," she said again. It's been a very long day. Come on, Liam, let's leave this gentleman alone." "Wait," Andrew said, surprising himself. "He said you need help getting home?" The flight attendant hesitated, clearly torn between wariness of a stranger and desperation, born of whatever situation she was facing. "We're trying to get to Phoenix," she said finally. "All the flights are grounded because of the storm, and we can't afford to stay in a hotel for who knows how many nights. And my mother is sick, and I need to get to her, and—" Her voice broke. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't be telling you all this. Come on, Liam. Mommy's really sick," Liam added, his small voice carrying the weight of a truth he was too young to fully understand, but old enough to be frightened by. "Grammy said she needs me. And Mama." He looked up at the flight attendant, his mother. Andrew realized, not just a random flight attendant. "I'm Carrie," the woman said, as if feeling she owed Andrew some explanation. "Carrie Foster. I'm a flight attendant, obviously. We were trying to get to Phoenix on my employee discount, but with the storm, everything's canceled. And the standby lists are so long and—" She trailed off, blinking back tears. I'm sorry. You don't need to hear about our problems. Andrew looked at this young woman, not much older than his own daughter, who hadn't returned his last 3 calls, and her small son with his teddy bear and his simple faith that asking for help might actually result in help. He thought about the private jet sitting in a hangar not 10 miles from here, the one he dismissed using because flying commercial seemed slightly less isolating than sitting alone in a luxury aircraft designed for 12 passengers. When do you need to be in Phoenix? Andrew asked. Carrie looked at him with confusion and a flicker of hope she seemed afraid to fully acknowledge. As soon as possible. My mother is having surgery tomorrow morning. It's serious. Cancer. They're removing part of her lung. I promised I'd be there. She needs me. And Liam needs to see his grandmother in case. She stopped abruptly, glancing down at Liam. We just need to get there. Andrew made a decision that surprised him even as he was making it. I have a plane, he said simply. A private jet. It's here at this airport. If the storm clears enough for any aircraft to fly, mine will be among the first cleared for takeoff. You and your son can fly with me to Phoenix. Carrie stared at him as if he'd just spoken in a foreign language. What? No, I couldn't. We couldn't possibly. Why not? Andrew asked. The plane is sitting empty. I was planning to go to Seattle, but that can wait. Phoenix is just as easy. Easier, actually, considering that's where you need to be. I don't even know you, Carrie said, her natural caution warring with her desperation. My name is Andrew Bennett. I run a consulting firm. I'm completely harmless, I promise. And if it makes you feel better, my pilot and co-pilot will be there the entire time. You won't be alone with a stranger. He pulled out his phone, turned it back on, and after a moment of searching, showed her his company's website with his photo and biography prominently displayed. See? I'm a legitimate businessman, not a dangerous person. I'm just someone who can help and who would like to. Why? Carrie asked, and the question held genuine confusion. Why would you do this for complete strangers? Andrew looked at Liam, who was watching this exchange with serious attention, still clutching his teddy bear. Because your son asked me to help, and I can't remember the last time anyone asked me for help with such simple faith that I might actually say yes. He paused. And because I know what it's like to miss important moments with family, I've missed far too many. If I can help you make sure you don't miss this one, then maybe that counts for something. Carrie's eyes filled with tears. I can't afford to pay you. I can barely afford the hotels and meals right now. This trip is already stretching my budget past the breaking point. I'm not asking you to pay me, Andrew said gently. I'm offering you a seat on a plane. That's flying anyway. Please, let me do this. Carrie looked down at Liam, who tugged on her hand. Mama, Grammy needs us, and he has a plane. Planes are fast. They are fast, Carrie agreed, wiping her eyes. She looked back at Andrew, and he saw the moment she decided to trust him, to take the risk. Okay, thank you. I don't know how to thank you enough, but okay, yes, please. 2 hours later, when the storm had weakened enough for private aircraft to receive clearance, Andrew, Carrie, and Liam were in the back of a town car heading to the private aviation terminal. Liam was pressed against the window, watching the rain and pointing out the lights of various aircraft. Is your plane big? He asked Andrew. Pretty big, Andrew confirmed. Big enough for 12 people, though tonight it'll just be the 5 of us. You, your mom, me, and the 2 pilots. Will we go up in the clouds? Above the clouds, actually. That's where it's smooth and calm. Like heaven? Liam asked with the innocent directness only children possess. Carrie reached over and gently squeezed her son's hand. Sorta like that, sweetie. Daddy's in heaven, Liam informed Andrew matter-of-factly. He died when I was 3. He was a soldier, and he got hurt really bad, and then he died. But Mama says he watches over us, so maybe he'll see us flying and wave. Andrew felt his throat tighten. I'm sure he will. Do you have kids? Liam asked. I do, Andrew said. 2, a daughter and a son. They're grown up now. Do you see them a lot? The simple question landed like a punch. No, Andrew admitted. Not as much as I should. Not nearly as much as I should. Liam considered this seriously. You should visit them more. My daddy can't visit me because he's in heaven. But you can visit your kids because you're not dead. So you should. Liam, Carrie said, embarrassed. But Andrew surprised them both by laughing. really laughing for the first time in months. You're absolutely right. You're very wise for someone so young. Grammy says I'm smart like my daddy, Liam said with unmistakable pride. The private terminal was a different world from the chaos of the main airport. Quiet, efficient, luxurious, without being ostentatious. Andrew's pilots, Tom and Lisa, greeted them professionally, showing no surprise at the unexpected passengers. "We've filed the flight plan for Phoenix," Tom said. "Weather's clearing nicely. Should be a smooth flight, about 2 hours." The jet itself made Carrie stop and stare. It was beautiful, all cream leather and polished wood, with seats that looked more like living room furniture than airplane seats. "This is incredible," Carrie whispered. "This is awesome," Liam declared, running to claim a window seat. Once they were airborne, Andrew watched Carrie and Liam with something he slowly recognized as envy. Despite their circumstances, the sick grandmother, the dead father, the financial struggles that were evident in Carrie's worn uniform and Liam's outgrown jacket, they had something he'd lost or perhaps never had. Connection. Presence. Love that was demonstrated in small gestures and gentle words. Carrie helped Liam buckle his seatbelt, then smoothed his hair back from his forehead. With such tenderness it made Andrew's chest ache. When Liam asked for his teddy bear, she retrieved it without complaint or comment, just handed it over with a kiss on his head. "Mr. Bennett?" Liam called from his seat. "Will you come sit with me and watch the clouds?" Andrew glanced at Carrie, who nodded permission. He moved to sit beside the boy, and for the next hour, he listened to Liam's rambling commentary about clouds and airplanes and his daddy, and dinosaurs and whether they'd see the Grand Canyon from the air. "Do you know what my daddy's job was?" Liam asked at one point. "You said he was a soldier," Andrew replied. "He was a soldier who helped people," Liam explained carefully, as if reciting something he'd been told and memorized. "He went to places where people needed help, and he helped them. Mama says that's what heroes do. They help people even when it's hard or scary. And Daddy was a hero." "He sounds like he was," Andrew agreed. Liam looked up at him with those serious eyes. "I think you're a hero too. Because we needed help, and you're helping us, even though you don't know us. That's what heroes do." Andrew felt something crack in his chest. "I'm not a hero, Liam. I'm just a man who had the resources to help and decided to use them." "That's what a hero is," Liam insisted with the unshakable logic of a 4-year-old. "Somebody who can help and does help. You're helping us get to Grammy, so you're a hero." Later, when Liam had fallen asleep against the window, clutching his teddy bear, Carrie moved to sit across from Andrew. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I still can't quite believe this is happening, that a complete stranger would do this for us." "You're welcome," Andrew said. "Can I ask, what happened to your husband, if that's not too personal?" Carrie was quiet for a moment, her eyes on her sleeping son. Marcus was deployed to Afghanistan. He was an Army medic. He'd always wanted to help people, and being a combat medic seemed like the best way to do that. He was there for 6 months, when his convoy hit an IED. He survived the initial blast but was severely injured. They got him to a field hospital, then to Germany, then back to the States. He held on for 2 weeks, long enough for me to get to him. Long enough for us to say goodbye, but not long enough. Her voice broke. "Not nearly long enough." "I'm so sorry," Andrew said, the words feeling inadequate. Liam was 3. He remembers some things about his daddy, but not as much as I wish he did. I show him pictures, tell him stories, make sure he knows how much Marcus loved him, but it's not the same as having his father here. "You're doing an amazing job," Andrew said. "Liam is a wonderful child. That's a credit to you. And to Marcus," Carrie said firmly. "Everything good in Liam comes from both of us." She paused, then asked, "Can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Why were you so sad at the airport?" "Liam has this ability to see when people are hurting. He said you looked like you needed help. What happened?" Andrew was quiet for a long time, staring out at the clouds illuminated by moonlight. Finally, he said, "I spent the last 20 years building a company. I worked constantly, traveled constantly, prioritized deals and mergers and profits over everything else, and I told myself it was worth it, that I was building something important, that my family understood." He took a breath. "My wife left me 3 years ago, said she was tired of being married to someone who was never there. My daughter got married last year, and I was at a conference in Singapore. I missed the wedding. My son graduated from law school last month, and I sent a card and a check because I was closing a deal in London and couldn't get away. They both still speak to me barely, but it's cordial, distant. Like I'm a business acquaintance, rather than their father. That must be painful, Carrie said gently. It is, and today, I was standing in that airport realizing that I'd built this enormous empire, and I had no one to share it with. No one who cared if I made it home or not. No one waiting for me anywhere. He looked at her. And then your son came up to me, this small child with a teddy bear, and asked if I could help you get home. And I realized I couldn't even remember the last time someone had asked me for help, or the last time I'd felt needed for something other than my business expertise or my money. You are needed, Carrie said. Right now by us. This matters. What you're doing. My mother might not survive this surgery. I need to be there for her and for Liam, and you made that possible. You're giving us the most precious gift. Time with someone. We love when time might be running out. I wish I'd understood that earlier, Andrew said quietly. I wish I'd understood that time is the only thing that really matters. I can always make more money, close more deals, but I can't get back the time I missed with my kids. I can't go to my daughter's wedding retroactively, or watch my son graduate 3 years from now instead of last month. They sat in companionable silence for a while. The hum of the engines the only sound besides Liam's soft breathing. It's not too late, you know, Carrie said eventually, to fix things with your children. It might take time and it might be uncomfortable, but if you're willing to really try, to show up and be present, most people would rather have a late apology and genuine change than live with the hurt forever. You think so? I know so. Marcus's father wasn't a good dad when Marcus was growing up. He was there physically but checked out emotionally. Always working, always distant. But when Marcus joined the army, his dad woke up to the possibility that he might lose his son without ever really knowing him. He made an effort, started showing up, asking questions, being present. By the time Marcus deployed, they'd repaired their relationship. And when Marcus was dying, his father was there, and they had time to say everything that needed to be said. She smiled sadly. It wasn't perfect, and it didn't erase the past, but it mattered. It changed everything. Andrew felt tears threaten for the first time in years. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for flying us to Phoenix, Carrie replied, and for listening to a 4-year-old who saw someone hurting and decided to help. They landed in Phoenix just before midnight. Andrew had arranged for a car to take Carrie and Liam to the hospital, and he insisted on riding along to make sure they got there safely. In the hospital parking lot, as Carrie was gathering Liam in their small bag, Andrew made another impulsive decision. Wait here just a moment, he told them, then called his assistant despite the late hour. Diane, I need you to do something. Tomorrow morning, first thing, I want you to set up a trust fund for Liam Foster. Enough to cover his education, college included, and living expenses if needed. Get the legal team on it. I'll send you the details. When he ended the call, Carrie was staring at him with wide eyes. What did you just do? Made sure Liam's future is secure, Andrew said simply. You've lost enough. You shouldn't have to worry about how you'll pay for his education, or whether you can give him opportunities. I can't accept that, Carrie protested. It's too much. It's already done, Andrew said gently. Consider it payment for an invaluable lesson about what really matters in life. Besides, your son called me a hero. I'd like to try to live up to that. Tears streamed down Carrie's face. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me know how your mother's surgery goes. And say you'll let me visit sometime, make sure you're all doing okay. Yes, Carrie managed. To both. Liam, who had been quiet and sleepy, suddenly threw his arms around Andrew's legs. Thank you for helping us get home. Andrew knelt down and hugged the boy properly. Thank you for asking. And thank you for reminding me what's important. He watched them walk into the hospital. Carrie holding Liam's hand, the boy clutching his teddy bear. Then he got back in the car and told the driver to take him to a hotel. Instead of going to his room, Andrew sat in the hotel lobby and took out his phone. He pulled up his daughter's number and stared at it for a long moment before typing out a message. Sarah, I know I've been a terrible father. I know I've missed too much and prioritized the wrong things. But I'd like to try to fix that if you'll give me a chance. I love you and I'm sorry. I want to be a real part of your lie.